So hi, ITW authors. I'm here to present on writing for television. These are the key takeaways that I've experienced over the past probably about 4 or 5 years of writing for television. I've had a good number of my projects either optioned or then go on into development. I've never had anything make it to the screen yet, but I've had the benefit of a great deal of mentorship and education, working with the Canadian Film Center and working with writers like Martin Giro, David Shore, Al McGee, Michael Matheson, Peter Mohan. It's been really exciting and a bit of a wild ride. Right now, my current projects, I'm working on the franchise Weirdwood Manor. That's a middle grade fantasy interactive, part book, part interactive game, part animated feature. And I've got a novel coming out, a young adult contemporary called Heart Sister. It'll be out August 4th in ebook and on into print in September. So that's kind of where I come from. So more from the children's and young adult side, but interestingly enough, most of my television projects end up getting aged up to an adult audience. So why write for TV? Well, you may know that we are not in peak publishing right now. We are, however, in peak television. And television and film are really IP, intellectual property, hungry industries. They love it when a project is backed up by a book. And what I've come to discover is that the best television shows don't necessarily come out of the bestsellers or even award-winning books. It's more that there's something about the idea that makes it also good for television. So my point here is that your publisher may or may not be your best screen advocate for those rights. They tend to be focused really on the best-selling work, the most visible work, and of course that's what agents will be coming after as well. But that does not necessarily mean that your idea isn't good for television. So really consider your project for television if it has a really amazing high concept, and more importantly, something that can generate a huge engine for different episodes. If you're looking at television, you're looking at, for streaming, you're looking at 10 to 12 episode seasons. It might be, for broadcast, it might be closer to 22. So if you're looking at a 5-season arc, well, now you're into 50 to 100 different episodes. It's a lot of story. Television churns through a ton of story. So that engine is the most important thing. So the engine comes together this way. I've tended to find. Neil Gaiman said that ideas are a confluence. They're two things coming together. A story engine is putting those things together from as far away as possible. So you want two things that are your protagonist's goal is as far apart as you could possibly get. So who's most unlikely to become a raging, ruthless drug lord? Well, how about a washed-up family man who teaches chemistry? So as far away those things that you can put together, so that's Breaking Bad, that you can put those two things, the smushing them together is the act of creating story. So other things that you'll find is that pitching for television is a little bit different than pitching a book. Of course, a producer will want to know what the story is, but there'll also be this focus on how much story it can generate. They'll want to know, why is this a relevant story? to our audience now in this contemporary world? What's going on thematically that ties it in? You also want to know why now in the show? Why are we meeting these characters at this particular moment in time? What's the inciting incident that has brought it all together? You want to know why are you the authentic voice behind this project? And they'll also want to know what the theme of it, what is it really about? And I always find this fascinating because theme really takes, it doesn't get a great deal of press when it comes to books. It's something that we tend to eschew somewhat, but in television, it is right up in front and center. There are messages here. Tone is really all about what touchstones are there out there that we can compare this to, and what makes it unique. So is it Mad Max meets Jack Reacher? That might give you a sense of those two types of styles coming together. Tone also talks about, is this a noir? Is this hyper realistic? What's the style that we're going to be seeing? What are we going to be seeing on television? And that's the thing. It's a visual medium. The television process of development is a little bit different than the book process. Book process, as I'm sure you're aware from most of you, particularly if you're aspiring to be published, you're going to have to write the book first. It has to be done. It has to be ready to go. Not so necessarily with the television process. If you're getting into general meetings, you can pitch an idea. It can be essentially a log line, and then that can move forward into more of a pitched document, and then furthermore into what's called a Bible. A Bible is the story world, so kind of everything you might need to get a sense of how to write an episode of the show. So it's going to talk about things like the tone of the show, the style of the show, the setting and world, all of the different characters in it, the main ones, a bunch of episode thumbnails, the arc of the seasons, maybe how the seasonal arc ends, or if it's a procedural show, a focus on the story engine. The Bible will also include a treatment of the pilot, more of kind of a summary, maybe a one-pager, and that will be used as a pitch Bible. In the US, you'll often need to be pitching with the Bible and a pilot already written, but these things take a lot less time, generally speaking, to write than a full-length novel manuscript. If you are working from the basis of one of your intellectual properties, you quite likely will not be writing a pilot from the get-go. You might be able to option the project to a producer who will then go on to develop it into the Bible, and then the pilot itself. As you move to the pilot, you're going to be asked to put together a beat sheet. This will be a series of bullet points of what happens within the pilot between the acts and the major set pieces. After that, you'll move to an outline. So the beat sheet might be 4 or 5 pages long. The outline is much longer. It's a different animal than the outline for a book. Writing an outline for a book, I'd rather pull out a tooth. I really would. But an outline for a pilot is really everything that happens without the dialogue. So my outlines for a pilot for an hour-long show will tend to be about 20, 25 pages long. So all I really need to do is add in the dialogue, and there will actually even be some dialogue within the outline itself, and it'll expand to 45, 50-page pilot. For your mileage may vary, but one of the real benefits of writing television, I find, is that it's highly collaborative, and I really enjoy that. it tends to make the show better, and it's a very iterative approach. So that's the TV process in a nutshell. Some of the things that we can take away from the actual writing is that just a reminder that you are writing for a visual medium, that the cost of production of a single page of television might run somewhere around $100,000. So that dialogue must be really good, you know, and you're not filming somebody walking up to the door. You know, they're putting their foot through the door, and that's the opening scene. So it's all about the economy of time and action. Your scenes are trying to do double duty. They want them to be moving, yes, the plot forward, but also the conflicts around the character as well. They want to be learning more about them at the same time. And this is when people you hear the adage that every scene must turn. That's because of this economy. A scene is a unit of action that moves the story forward to some degree. The dialogue similarly does double duty. It's not just information, but generally speaking, you want to have some level of subtext beneath it. So the subtext is the meaning beneath the words. So if I am having a fight with my wife, we might be eating a chicken dinner and talking about the chicken, but really we're talking about our relationship in that fight. And what's great about that for you as and Donald Moss actually, well, I think is probably the first person to mention to me the importance of subtext. So it's certainly not just television writing, but the real benefit is that it engages the reader because they are engaged in the mystery of what are they really talking about. And after all, that's what we're trying to do, is engage our readership. And then, of course, the importance of tone and a cohesive tone throughout the script. The structure of a 1 hour television show can be really useful for us to look at. You may find that you're getting a note back from an editor that says, I'm finding this flat, or I'm finding this episodic. And you may not quite know how to fix that. Well, one way you can do it is by changing your 3-act structure into a 6 or a 5-act structure. The 6-act structure just includes the teaser that you'll often see at the beginning of a television episode, but really it's a 5-act structure. And the critical change here is in Act 2. So Act 2 can be split into 3 different acts, and it is usually done this way within a script for a television show. And the requirement for an end of an act is to, you know, have something, let's face it, something big happen, something that forces your character to change their goal, or how they're going to radically change how to go out about their goal. So some dramatic reversal. And if you're getting the note back that things are flat, if you change it into 3 acts instead of 1, you may find that you push your character in ways that really escalate the conflict. It's just a trick in terms of forcing you to do so. And I've started to do that as of late, and it can be quite effective. The other things that I learned writing for television is that character introductions are really important. When you're introducing a character, they want to know, the viewer wants to know, what is their place in this world? What is their place in the main character's world? How do they put pressure on them? And every character, that's their main role, is to put pressure on our lead in some way, shape, or form. They want to know also what their dominant feature is. So what's their way of seeing the world? So these supporting characters are critical. And one way to think about the supporting characters in your own book that is becomes kind of obvious when you're writing for television is to see them as actual human beings that are playing that role. And as soon as you do that, you recognize that a supporting character actor is a human being that's going home to their spouse and saying, hey, honey, my character did something really cool today, and I love where they're taking it. They're actively engaged in the actual character themselves. So right characters you think an actor would want to play, and you're probably headed in the right direction in terms of creating a three-dimensional character that is interesting to your audience as well. There are different types of conflict within a scene. You want to be looking at the internal conflict, what's going on in your character's head, the interpersonal character, what's going on in the conflict with characters around them, and then the environmental conflict. And this can be, it could be the weather, but it also can be kind of structural conflict, like hierarchical conflict, such as within a police station, there's a hierarchy within the unit itself. Delivering exposition is one of those things that just really isn't possible to do well on a screen. It comes across very clunky. It comes across that way in our books too, but it's tougher to see, or maybe we get away with it because the pacing affords it. But one trick with writing for the screen is that you do it while they're dancing. So you do it while there's some sort of other action that's relevant to the plot. That's when you're delivering your exposition. So if there's a gunfight, that might be a lot more fun way of delivering exposition. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope this was enjoyable and it gave you a little bit of a sense of things that you can take away writing for television. There's some great screenwriting books out there that can develop that further. And I hope you will connect with me on Twitter or Instagram, please feel free to add my book on Goodreads and check it out when it comes out. Thanks very much for your time.